Why would you, knowing that there's going to be an objection, why would the president of the United States allow that bill to come out with Ukraine money tied to it? Because he wants to put somebody in a political spot. And that's the only reason. We've had, we haven't been doing anything. It's been probably the most productive 20 some odd days, really, if you want to look at overall outcome by electing Mike Johnson, our speaker. But what's the Senate been doing? They haven't been doing anything. We haven't even seen this. They haven't even sent the bill over yet. So, it's just politics as usual in Washington. Cut the BS, send 3 different bills over, send one with Ukraine, send one with border security, or so-called border security, and send one with Israel. That's all you got to do. 3 sheets of paper. And yet they want to politicize it and want to try to tie it up. They're the ones, I submit to you, they're the ones tying it up. Let's get to business. Let's cut the garbage out and do what's right for the people of Israel.
But Congressman, arguably the reason why the White House is trying to tie these together is because there is a certain resistance to continuing to fund Ukraine within your party in the House of Representatives. Are you saying if the White House were to send 3 separate packages, that Ukraine bill could pass on the House floor?
Yeah, I mean, all the Democrats would vote for it. And you probably, we had 100 and some odd votes, I think, in favor of Ukraine the last time something came through. That's stupid. Just send it over there separate. If they want to really pass it, do it separately. I would vote against Ukraine funding again, because there again, it's not our war. Show me the reason we're over there. If we're going to say that, look, we got dictators down in Central America that are abusing people. The Chinese are putting the Uyghur population in concentration camps. Why are we not going to war with China over it if we're so ethically challenged on this front? Ma'am, this is just politics.
Well, I'm not the guy with answers, but the administration says that if Vladimir Putin succeeds in Ukraine, and I know a lot of Republicans on the Hill agree with him, that it would be a national security problem for the United States and our allies in Europe. And is that part of the argument that you disagree with?
I disagree with that premise. The GDP of Russia is somewhere between France and Canada. This is a European situation. Let them decide it. Europe needs to be kicking in more money. They're not. The number 2 contributor to this whole thing in the beginning was Estonia. We were profiting off of both sides because of and we were funding both sides of this war in the beginning because of the oil situation. This thing and the shady dealings that have been going on between them and people in Washington has been going on too long. And so eventually we'll get to the bottom of it. It'll probably be our grandkids that, a made for TV special or something, if TV is even around then. But it's a crooked country, and people are getting fat. I get too many reports of stuff from people that are there in Ukraine telling me that the stuff we're sending.
What about the people who are starving, who are dying? That the civilian death has been overwhelming, has it not?
What about people dying in this country because we don't have the guts to preserve our own border?
Well, I don't want to get into a what about conversation with you. We're just talking about Ukraine.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying, our priorities are out of whack. We put the focus on Ukraine, and yeah, it's awful, but there's stuff going on all over the world that's awful. People are starving to death in Africa. We've got these dictators down in Central America. There's people that are being brutalized in Central America, Mexico, for instance, on our borders. They're at the will of the cartels, people getting raped and murdered every day. And yet we're not doing anything about that. But we're all the way halfway across the. Go ahead.
Congressman, there's people being killed in bowling alleys just this past week. What should the response be to yet another mass shooting in the United States?
It's a mental health issue. You've got a guy who apparently, from what I understand, got these guns. He was a reservist in our own military. There's obviously a problem there. The thing that ties in every one of these folks together is mental health issues. It's a mental health crisis. They could do it with a gun. They could do it with a knife. They could do it with an automobile. You remember one of the largest mass killings in this country. Oklahoma City was done with ammonium nitrate fertilizer you could buy at Walmart, literally, and diesel fuel. And he killed over 100 people. And so it's just we've got a mental health issue in this country. And until we address that, this will continue. It'll just move into another avenue. We lose more people to drunk drivers than we have to mass shootings, but nobody's wanting to outlaw alcohol or cars.
All right, Congressman, well, on the subject of things that are against the law, or at least people have been accused of breaking the law, just yesterday, several of your colleagues from New York introduced an expulsion resolution for Congressman George Santos, who, of course, has been indicted on a number of counts. When that comes to the floor next week, would you vote to expel him?
Probably not, ma'am. We've got a court of law. Let's let it work. Let's let it work. They're still innocent until proven guilty, and you can have dozens of accusations you can indict. I remember an old Democrat buddy of mine who was a very prominent lawyer in Nashville and was a state senator as well. He told me, he said, Tim, you can indict a cheese sandwich, a ham and cheese sandwich. And I never really thought anything of it, but I did, an indictment is just an accusation until he goes to court and is found guilty. That's another issue. But indictment is just
these are some pretty wild accusations, though. For you, is it a process issue? Would you feel the same way if you had a wider majority?
No, it wouldn't change it one bit. It's